He took the cash my parents gave him and went to a crack house. I'm like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. I go to the payphone. Yes, payphones back then. And I called my mom. And I'm like, this motherfucker that blah, 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 blah is in rehab. She just checked in. I'm giving her a mouthful, and she says, I'm going to stop you. She goes, I don't care where he is. I don't care what he did. And I don't care about anything. Everything he said was true, and you're never coming home again. And she hung up on me.
Welcome to another episode of the Powerless to Powerful Recovery podcast. My name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic and addict. As always, our mission is to share experience, strength, and hope across multiple media platforms. The story of addiction, the road to recovery. We are not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step based organizations or groups in any way. My co-host is here, Ronnie, no matter what. What's up, Ron?
Here we go.
I mean, we're back. I mean, if we can do this for a living, this is what we would do. We'd be in a beach house, flying Mike and his team out. Oh, our special guest is here, dude.
Special.
I mean, and when you talk about having people on, you know, not only do we want to have CEOs and founders, which he is all that, but when you talk about having the best, the largest in the country, oh my God.
Let's go.
Oh, numero uno. That's number one. Mike Loverde is here, founder, CEO, the largest interventionist in the country. Family first. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Dude, this is going to be fun because not only is he one of us, he's also a character just like us and from the East Coast, Chicago. I'm a Bears fan. Cubs fan, probably.
Yes,
maybe the White
Cubs.
Sox. Is it the Cubs or the White Sox?
I prefer the Cubs, but I'm not a White Sox hater.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we got that piece in, right? So we throw all that in with a little bit of mental health and being a Bears fan. Here we are today. But welcome, Mike, to the show. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate being here.
And getting to know you and ultimately family first and building that relationship with you guys. We're going to get into your story. We're going to get into where it came from, you know, how it all started, an experience with an interventionist, having the entrepreneurial spirit to want to do it. But family first, being interventionist, largest in the country. Give us a brief synopsis to launch the show, to start it off. What is family first? What do you guys do? And how does this thing work?
We help families and we help people find treatment by changing the environment in which that exists. And families are always forgotten in the process, not just by helping them set boundaries, but also by what the addiction's done to them or even the mental health. We get so consumed in the patient, we forget the destruction left behind. We forget how they rip through families' lives like tornadoes, and we forget how we devastate the situation. And it's like, when is the last time somebody's asked the family, how are you? The whole conversation is about how are they? And they're the ones that are destroying everybody else. Because when these people get the treatment, sometimes or often, I think we forget what's left back home. And you have broken families. You have children who haven't seen their dad or their mom. It's horrible. And we want to fix that. You know, I've learned a long time ago that you don't go to treatment when things are going well. Nobody goes to rehab on a winning streak. You know, it's not like you wake up one day and it's like your wife asks you to renew your vows, you get a job promotion, you paid off the mortgage, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to go see what they're doing at that AA meeting. Life sucks. Nobody does that. No. They walk in beaten into a state of reasonableness, and they come in just at the end. And if we could bring that bottom up on a non-lethal level before they get there on their own, then we can save lives. Family, you know, the sad part, real quick, the sad part about it, I don't get calls from, hey, my son's drinking a little bit and I'm concerned. I mean, we got people calling us when it's too late.
Yeah.
Their loved ones on liver transplant list. I mean, they got no teeth left from the meth. They got staph infections from track marks. And it's like, what do we do? And they're almost impossible to convince to do this, but we got to change the environment. This whole victim mentality shit that we're teaching therapists today coming out of school, and the client's the most, you know, a knowledgeable person to know what it is that they need. We got to stop. We got to go back to the way it was in AA. What were our success rates back then? 50 to 75%. Today they're 3%.
Yeah.
And I still think that started when Dr. Jelinek invented the disease model and made everybody a fucking victim.
And I love that. I love how you brought that up because, you know, when I take my guys through the big book, I always hit them, of course, with the doctor's opinion.
Of course, you have to.
But then I follow back with the 4-stage disease concept and really talking about it from Dr. Jelinek and also the Jelinek curve. Because we don't talk about on the Jelinek curve component of it. We always talk about the progressiveness of the disease, but we don't talk about the progressiveness of fucking recovery.
No, we don't.
And we don't talk about that enough. And that's what the Jelinek Nick, curve is.
No,
But the 4-stage disease concept is experimentation, which, we all, start usually in experimentation, right? And then we cross over into relief, using or drinking. And when I say relief, what we're talking about is associating drinking and drugging with our emotions. Like, I don't think any of us went to sober parties in high school because it wasn't fun. So now I've associated positive emotions with drinking, and I've also associated negative ones because it works really well. Don't think, don't feel, don't care. So what also happens is you experience some consequences in that period of time in that second stage. Now, some people will say, oh shit, I see what's going on here. Maybe I'll listen to that interventionist. Maybe I will go to that meeting and actually get a sponsor and work the steps and listen to my parents and do all these things. But if you cross over and say, ain't it grand the wind stop blowing, mom, it's fine, everything's good, and we cross over now into dependency, that's when they say now you've crossed over into addiction, right?
Correct.
And then ultimately chronic. And so anytime you relapse, you go back to dependency or chronic, never experimentation, even though all you remember is experimentation. And for me, 1997 was a sophomore year in high school, was a good year. Dude, I tried to relive it for 20 years. It was such a good year.
Right.
So I love how you brought that up in the stages of change from pre-contemplation to contemplation to action and to maintenance. I left out preparation in there, but those 5 stages are so important to ultimately get to maintenance, because we can be stuck in that pre-contemplation stage and think we're taking action, and so I love how you touched on those things.
Well, that's another thing they got wrong in the stages of change. They call it the maintenance phase. There ain't no maintenance in recovery. You're either growing or you're going.
Leave that one out. Yeah.
They got to change it to the growth stage. But I get their concept, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's maintenance or growth, you're not going to get there until you have your ass handed to you.
I got a question, Mike.
That's what it should say.
That's what it should say.
I got a question for you. Being the largest interventionist, and there's no scenarios that you haven't come across or seen with the fentanyl epidemic that's nationwide. Just ripping through these families that, I don't think anybody's prepared to have an addict for a son or a daughter or a husband or an employee or whatever it may be. But this fentanyl is something different.
It is.
It's creating zombies. The family members, I've been part of, been out of prison now. Man, we're coming on what, 4 years? Five years out of prison. And I sponsor a lot of guys and have been part of a lot of families reaching out to me for help, and because they just don't understand this fentanyl. Can you speak on that a little bit, what you've seen nationwide with this fentanyl epidemic?
I haven't gotten a call for a heroin addict in a long time.
That's it. It's gone.
It's fentanyl. The biggest thing we're faced with today is fentanyl, meth, and believe it or not, marijuana. And I can get into that in a second. But the fentanyl is scary. And, every month twice a month, we do our webinars and we send out the messages. At least 5 families will respond that their loved one's dead.
Dude, it's
we didn't have a chance to intervene, but they're dead. And I don't think people take fentanyl as serious as it is. And, we were just at a funeral, somebody in our industry, Brennan, he never did opiates, and he bought meth and it was laced with fentanyl, and he took one hit and he died behind a vape store in Tucson.
God, dude.
We went to a gala.
Father of 3 kids.
Yeah.
We went to an event for PAL.
Parents of
addicted loved ones. We worked for a company and we got invited to go. And the keynote speaker was the head of the DEA for Arizona.
Yeah.
The highest. And there was some numbers she threw out, but one of the biggest numbers, that enough lethal doses of fentanyl were confiscated in 2023.
Yeah, this is 2 years ago, yeah.
For every American to die twice.
Yeah. Every 4 minutes someone's dying from a fentanyl overdose in this country. And that was 2 years ago.
Yeah. You don't get a lot of phone calls for middle-aged fentanyl users. They're all young, and you don't get the call later because hopefully they're sober, but most of them are probably gone.
Yeah. And that's ultimately the most important part, is getting the family on board, having the support you need to make the changes, because I think for any of us that suffer from it, and we could speak on that, we've been wanting to make these changes for so long. Mom enabled me. I talk about my childhood. I don't believe I had any trauma from a kid. I'm a spoiled kid. I had every opportunity in life to be successful. I went to college, did all the things, but at some point I crossed over into addiction, right? And so I just like to look at those different time periods and my parents reached out, or I needed the support. And that's truly what we built today, is a community. And that's what this podcast is all about, is bringing on everybody in the community to be stronger together. But again, every journey starts somewhere. To work in this field, you got to have a passion at some point. And I want to talk about the professional journey of everything that you faced. So can you kind of talk about what got you into this space? I know you went to Northern Illinois, you went to Gov State, you did all those things. But how did you get into this space? How does it come to be?
Well, as you said, I went to Northern Illinois University and I got a degree in finance. And when I got out of college, I worked for a big phone company, Ameritech. And then I was put on site at Arthur Anderson, which is no more. I had nothing to do with the Enron scandal, but that's why they're no more. And I worked in downtown Chicago, and I loved it. And I liked painkillers a little too much. And then that turned to heroin. I used before there was such a thing as fentanyl. And I went from a college graduate working on site at a Big Five accounting firm to a homeless heroin addict. And my family had just had enough. And they did an intervention. And I immediately said yes. I mean, when they called, I was done. I mean, I'm a college graduate with all this experience. I get chills talking about it. I mean, I had nothing. I mean, I literally had nothing. Zero, other than what my parents provided for me. And I accepted help. I mean, immediately. I mean, it's like they got halfway through the letters, and I just lost it. And I said, I saw my father cry for the first time in my life. I'm like, I'm done. And I went. I accepted. Now, the story I didn't tell you earlier, I also did AMA from treatment 3 days later. And but when I finally got back, you want me to tell the rest of the story?
I would love for you to tell the story.
So,
I would love for you.
This is what started why I believe in family so much. So my mom, whose demons I can't get into yet, or I won't on the call, but she was my chief enabler. So they did the intervention, and they paid the interventionist in cash. It was Intervention Services. I'm going to tell you the guy's fucking name. David Lee from Intervention Services. He came out and he did the intervention, and my parents paid him cash. And even though I AMA'd, he talked him off the ledge, don't let him come home, and I didn't, and I went back to treatment. He showed up at my rehab 5 days later because he needed to check in. He took the cash my parents gave him and went to a crack house. I'm like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. And here's, all kidding aside, what changed. I go to the payphone, yes, payphones back then, and I called my mom. And I'm like, this motherfucker that blah, 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 blah is in rehab. She just checked in. I'm giving her a mouthful, and she says, I'm going to stop you. She goes, I don't care where he is. I don't care what he did. And I don't care about anything. Everything he said was true, and you're never coming home again. And she hung up on me. I've been sober since. And I even tried. I'm like, Mom, it's a disease. She goes, you're full of shit. And she hung up on me. It's not my fault. The therapist are telling me I didn't. Anyway, so it's like, so I'm in rehab with this guy, and he hears me at meetings, and this is back in 2005, and he just says to me one day, I'm no longer wanting to kill him. I kind of like him. He was a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
He was a nice guy. He just took the cash my parents gave him to smoke crack. Can't fault him for that. And he said, you should do interventions. You'd be really good at it. I hear the way you speak to people in your story. You'd be really good at it. And when I started with him, they were a fly-by-night operation. There was nothing to him. I mean, his brother was a blackjack dealer and a busboy, and he was a crackhead. I mean, they had nothing. And they did about one intervention every 3 months. And I do practice humility, but when they took me on 6 months later, we had a 20-person staff, and we were doing 60 interventions a month. They blew the doors off the place.
I mean, facts are facts.
Facts are facts.
Facts are facts, yeah.
Facts are facts. Now, they wouldn't want to admit it, but if they were on a polygraph, they'd have to concede to the fact that this is a true story. And everybody quit their day jobs, and there it was. And then...
are they still around?
No.
Okay, so basically you go from getting an intervention, dude screwing you in that entrepreneurial spirit that you have. You saw the need.
That's right.
You said, look at this shit. They got interventionists getting high.
Well, how's
that work?
I'm going to change every family to do what my mother did.
Because it saved my life.
Because it saved my life. Yeah. Like, that was it right there. For my mother would kick me out as I'm packing. She said, can I make you a sandwich?
Yeah, my mom.
They weren't kicking me out. It was never happening.
Yeah.
And for her to go from that to, and talk about an alibi or whatever, an excuse, like, the guy's here.
Yeah, he's my roommate now, Mom.
He's my roommate. I'm going to smother him in his sleep, but he's here. And for my mom to do that 180.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was it. And I knew.
You've never seen it before.
Never seen it.
So all of a sudden, hold up, got my attention.
My mother used to sit outside my bedroom with the rosary asking God to take me away. That's how
Sounds
bad
like
it got.
my mom, dude.
You know what I
Lighting
mean? I mean, that's where it got.
praying
She
the
was a
rosary.
Christian woman, you know what I mean? And at the time, I think she was Catholic, whatever, the rosary.
Yeah.
And like that stopped with an intervention. And yeah, it was powerful, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he hears you. Can you imagine that, dude?
Yeah, I just want to say because I'm just captivated by the story because I'm putting it all together.
What, did he took the money to smoke crack?
No, that's just standard. But where you said you have to change the environment.
Yeah.
And regardless of what his outcome was, that time you spent with your family changed your mother's,
100%.
changed the environment, and that's what saved your life.
100%. I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
You wouldn't be sitting there. So that's what you drive forward with family first. And I love it.
Okay, so he hears you spit some fire, blowing some
Fire.
hair back at meetings, right? You're in there, dude. You're fucking doing your thing because it's your time. You fully conceded your most.
And I was done.
You were done, dude. So you were in the zone. So he hears you. So he says, "Oh, you know what? You get out of here. I'm gonna hire you." So does he hire you? And next thing you know, within a couple weeks, he's like, "All right, I got one for you. Family, alcoholic, likes to smoke a little bit of crack too. We need you to go to the crib. We need you to go get this dude, talk to him." Is that how it works? How's that thing work?
No, the story actually gets better.
Yeah.
So his brother calls me out to his house in Indiana, and this was how I trained for interventions. He hands me a phone. It was a Motorola, like it was like the tech. I don't know. It was like it had like Microsoft Office on. It was a nice phone, but it had a rubber band holding the mouse piece, and it had black fingerprints on it. And I says, "What's this?" He goes, "My brother's phone." There were crack fingerprints on it. And I said, and he goes, "When the phone rings, answer it." I said, "What do I do?" He goes, "You're a smart guy. You'll figure it out." That was how I was trained to do interventions. And the first call I got was from a woman, Dina, who works for us today.
That's
she gave me my
awesome.
first lead. And I remember I called her back. I said, "Dina, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I couldn't get that family to commit." And she says, "Don't worry about it, baby." She goes, "If you get 1 out of 10 of those families, they're sick." She goes, "It's 10 times easier to get the person into treatment than it is to get the family to have you come get them." She goes, "You'll get one." And the second one she gave me, I scheduled it. And then I had to go do it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember that family, but don't complain because I got your kid in.
Yeah.
And I trained myself. These guys weren't interventionists.
Right.
They weren't. They thought they were.
Yeah.
And I went out there and common sense prevailed, and it was kind of like a 12-step call.
Yeah.
And I just told the family, I'm like, stop giving them money, stop letting them live here, and stop letting them have their way with you. And they did. And I'll never forget, I was on the back porch. The girl smoked cigarettes. I don't smoke, but she was smoking. And she told me more in 5 minutes than she had told her family and however long her life was. And I'll never forget, I walked back in. This was in the Boston suburbs. And I walked back in and I said, "She's going." And the whole family goes in uproar. And Mom goes, "How did you do that?" And I go, "I have no idea." Because I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I had to do something, and I did it. That's how it started. That was how my career started. No training, no nothing. Here's a crackhead's phone, answer it. And that's how it started. That's the God's honest truth. Crack marks on the phone.
And you took it
Couldn't
from there.
get that off with a fucking magic eraser.
Ron, you got a special trick?
What, to get crack fingerprints
Yeah,
off?
I'm just curious.
Not just throw it away and get another one. They don't come
But
off.
that phone worked, and we went and we saved that girl's life. And I flew her from Massachusetts to Michigan and checked her in the rehab.
So is most of the time you're trying to get him out of state? Is it best to get him as far away as you can get him? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So this way, they're less likely to AMA because they know they have nowhere to go,
And
right?
they changed the environment.
They change the environment. Yeah.
Imagine that. It's in the
That's what I'm
books.
saying now. Change your environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
love it.
it's the truth. And so, from 2005 to 2008, you're perfecting this, you're training yourself, you're building a sales team, you're taking them from, let's just say 1 a month to 60 a month, and you're really starting to perfect this thing. And then at some point, just like Ron and I have always done, if you're the top sales guy, right, and you're making all the sales, well, shit, you might be able to do it your damn self. Right. And if you can do it your damn self and everything that you've learned with the heart of recovery and the passion that you have in being a living, breathing miracle, you said, shit, there's some things that I would definitely do different. Adding maybe a little bit of marketing and the family first approach, the family centered approach, and then ultimately, investing in your staff. And so you take that leap in 2008? And then how's that work?
Yeah, so originally I did not want to start my own business. I actually went to the guys because I liked them so much and they saved my life. I wanted to do it with them. And I said, hey, we need to focus more on these families. We're doing paid 12-step calls. People are paying us money just to come out and talk to them. They could hire somebody from AA to do what we're doing. And I said, we got to start investing in marketing. Like, all of our referrals are from treatment centers. If these treatment centers stop sending to us, we're done. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. That's what we got you for. And I made a phone call, and I threw together a stick figure website, and I put together my own pay-per-click campaign, and then they found out, and we parted ways, not as friends. And my first day, that week, I booked 4 interventions off my own website, and Family First was born. It started out of a spare bedroom in a suburban Chicago home in Tinley Park, Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It was a particle desk. I had a 2-line phone line put in, and I had a Packard Bell computer. And I just put it together, man.
Yes, dude. I love it. I love it.
Put it together.
Yeah, and just like we had a desert, right? We had the opportunity, and we were given a privilege and a blessing to be able to build a treatment center, an inpatient program that allows us to incorporate the clinical component, that allows us to have, the medical team on site, but ultimately give them the different exposures to the different paths. Just because I'm a 12-step guy doesn't mean that that's your path.
Sure.
So incorporating, the spiritual aspect from smart recovery, and then what the clinical team really does, the CBT, the DBT, the motivational interviewing, the evidence-based treatment that allows us to track those outcomes. And that's the same thing you did, focusing on the family, building your staff out correctly, putting a little bit of marketing behind it. And really that marketing is evolved in you and your passion and your journey. And it's working extremely well for you guys. I mean, you're the largest in the country. So being the largest in the country, that doesn't happen overnight. So what's that progression of that professional journey been with Family First? Like, how has that worked over the last years? Did you start on, in the East Coast? Obviously that's where you're based out of Chicago. Did you just start out there? Did you start making cold calls to all interventionists? How do you find interventionists?
Real quick, I remember when I was building the website, the guy, the crackhead, he told me, your website will never rank. And I said, why? And he said, because your content's not written for Google. I said, I know. I said, everything I'm pouring into this content is for families. And I said at the time, I said, I don't give a shit if Google likes it. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want the people to like it. Well, here we are 20 years later, and apparently Google does like it.
Yeah, Google.
And it's not AI. I write down to the punctuation, every single thing of content on that website is mine. Yeah. And those videos are mine. There's zero AI. It's from the heart. But I do want to give credit to the people where credit's due. I didn't write that. Families did. Because that website is real world experience. I do have my master's in addiction studies and counseling, and I got some clinical stuff in there that does, apply, but families wrote that website. I have a book. Families wrote that book. I mean, I just took the common denominators. There's no curveballs in this shit. Like, everybody wants to get on the phone and try to sell me how their loved one's different. And 10 seconds in, I'm like, they're just fucking same. Yeah. And so are you. Yeah. Like, it's not rocket science, man. Everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel. That's how we became the biggest, is because we focus on real world shit. And I listen to people. I don't try to, I'm a smart guy, but my customers, my families, my patients, they tell me what I need to know. I listen to what the struggles are, and I put that on paper. And the reason everybody relates, it's like when we go to an AA meeting and there's 50,000 people and everybody's nodding their head and we're all in sync because we're all the fucking same. There's no curveballs here. He's the most stubborn. He's yeah, I've heard that how many times today alone? Yeah. And so I want to give credit to the families and the addicts and the alcoholics that helped me write this, because I couldn't have done it without them. I'm not putting my opinion on paper. I'm putting real stuff out there. I'm not writing like all this bullshit. Nobody wants to see statistics. You know what I mean? They want real stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they love the videos, because it's from the heart.
And they do love the videos. Yeah. In fact, I'm a data. It's all about the data, and I've done a little research on your website, and I know that industry average length of view time on website is usually like under a minute, and you're like over 30 minutes.
Yes.
It's not even like a little bit. Like you're crushing it, and it's because you got the content that the family really wants.
Because what I'm saying is true.
Yep, and that's what they want to look for.
Because what I'm saying is true. Families, that makes sense because it's true. And the sad part is they're told the opposite more and more every day. No disrespect, but from doctors and psychiatrists and therapists. Dude, I went to graduate school. I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm going to say it on camera. 90% of that shit they taught me is why our success rates are 3%. Period. And I just took what I learned and what's real, and family first is here.
Yeah. And a lot, you're right. A lot of the stuff they teach him, and what we've realized, you know, with Desert is they don't use half the stuff. They don't teach him how to write notes. They don't teach him how to speak to the problem that's needed. If we just let their notes of what they taught him in school talking, which again, of course, we want to speak to the positives. We always want to highlight those things, of course. But however, it's because they're under 24-hour supervision, blah, 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 blah. You know, so making sure that, you know, their skill sets translating to what actually will work so we can have the outcomes, because that's really what it's all about, is the outcomes.
You need that real human element to mix with the logic, right?
That's right.
It has to come together in this perfect synchronicity, you know? And I mean, we've seen it, right? We've seen it. And the truth will always prevail.
Always, you know.
Always prevail.
You know, I got to throw this in there. It just came to me. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Molly Bloom. It's on Netflix. I just saw it.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner is a dad, and his daughter gets in trouble for some gambling ring, whatever. But anyway, he's a psychotherapist, and they're sitting on a park bench. And this really moved me.
True story.
True story. The movie's a true story. And he says, you know, Molly, I'm going to do something that people have been wanting therapists to do for 100 years. I'm going to give you the answers. I'm going to do 3 years worth of therapy and 3 questions. And that's why I do have my degrees, and I got a lot of diplomas. I was never dumb enough to go down to downtown Phoenix and take the exams. On paper, I could be an LPC and a LISAC right now by taking 2 fucking exams. But now I got to sit there and ask you, how does that make you feel? Instead of just saying, stop doing what the fuck you're doing. And that's the truth,
that's
right?
The truth.
So what Kevin Costner did, man, I got goosebumps when he did that. It's because that's another thing. Like, no disrespect to the therapist, but it's like, you're not a fucking victim. I'm not going to spend the next 3 years asking how that made you feel. I'm going to tell you the answer. Stop doing what you're doing. And stop enabling your loved one. If they want to go and destroy their life, they can do that. You don't have to help them. And if you're helping them, why? Because families can't let go. They're addicted to control. They're addicted to chaos and drama. Their biggest fear is not having control of what's on the other side of this. They're like a man in a penitentiary, 30 years. I can't wait to get out. Then they get paroled and they punch a guard and wipe their cell down with feces because they didn't want to get out. Because they're afraid of what the free life is like because they've been institutionalized for so long. That's a family.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We want them to go to rehab. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Why are we still talking?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the dad's like, oh, he just needs a job. Shut up.
Yeah. A job.
Yeah.
A job.
Yeah, I've never been to an AA meeting where a guy's like, yeah, I got 10 years today. Thank you to my employer. Thank you to that special somebody I found in rehab.
Yeah.
But there is 2 whole chapters called To the Wives, the Family Afterward, and a whole bunch of things that come from, because you would think, and that's what you're speaking to, because you would think just because now that their loved one is now sober that everything is good now. But it's the farthest thing from the truth, and sometimes it could start out and even become worse for a period of time because of the codependency, because of the sickness, because what happens is we make our loved one sick. And what we make them sick with, one of the components is codependency, right? It's that other level of codependency. It's my mom loving me for so long, enabling me in that codependency, right? The adopted rules, you know, don't speak, don't ask. The phone rings after 10, feeling safer when incarcerated. And then ultimately, when your loved one finds recovery, your whole life was to take care of me. Now you don't have to do that. And now I'm on some constant never-ending growth, and it makes you take a look at what the fuck have I been doing?
That's right. The dysfunctional family system. You know, we always look at the substance user. The substance user is just another family role. They're as destructive as the hero, the enabler, the martyr, etc. They all have their purpose in life as to why they do it. And, you know, you mentioned earlier about taking them out of state. That's just not for them. That's for the family, too, because they'll go run and get you, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a wife, I'll be on the phone with a spouse whose husband's an alcoholic. I could be like, listen, I'm going to do this for free. There's a 100% guarantee. And she'll cut me off, be like, but who's going to pay the bill? She's a professional martyr.
Yeah.
They don't listen. They don't listen.
They don't.
It's like, do you really want this to change? Because I don't think you do.
And then when you hit them with that, and ultimately,
then you're just a salesman asshole.
yeah, you just a fear of loss close. That's all that is. But it's really just reality. And just like the intervention space, just like Desert or 12 steps, we don't have to overcomplicate it.
No.
If you overcomplicate it, then you lose the application process, and that's where the power comes from, is from the application of anything that we do, the action that we take, and applying what we're learning. We can talk about boundaries with the family all day we want, but if they don't hold the boundaries, then we're just talking about them.
Right.
Just another good idea and a goal you didn't achieve. Right. And so now embarking on Family First and taking it from 2009 and fast forward all these years to today and being the largest in the country, what are the biggest challenges that you face? What are the struggles that you see on a day-to-day basis? I would assume it's just the family being so sick that they want to do it, but they don't want to do it.
You asked me, do people really go to treatment? When I started doing this, I did interventions myself, and not tuning me at home, but they called me Magic Mike. I never failed. I showed up, you're in rehab. But so were a lot of our other people. Today, it is so different with the drugs they're taking, and just the way people think. Like, this society is getting warped on news and social media, and just people are sick, man. People are freaking sick. And I don't want to get into politics, but man, COVID didn't kill us. Those lockdowns did. And we're just starting to see the start of the mental health effects of COVID, of locking people in their homes for 2 and 3 years. We're seeing that. And it's really, really devastating. It's only going to get worse. So you're asking me what my challenges are? My challenges are people are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
People are fucking crazy. I have never in my life had families making political decisions in the intervention and recovery process. I'm not sending them to that state. I'm not, literally, the world has gone mad.
Because it's red or it's blue, and it's
like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. This is life or death. Do you not see that?
Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't get into that with people. And I listen to them, but it's like, my biggest challenges are the world has gotten more difficult to deal with. And my biggest challenge is also therapists and treatment centers. No disrespect to treatment centers, but that's why I'm so selective in who I work with, because most therapists just downright are bad. They're really bad.
There's that.
Therapist, and I'll get into the problem that I've seen in treatment. And the biggest problem I see is owners of treatment centers, because you used to own one, the second their phones aren't ringing or their admissions are down, the first thing they do is they take the marketing company's head off. And then they go to the salespeople. But what the biggest disconnect in treatment that nobody looks at is if admissions isn't lined up with clinical, your organization cannot exist. And clinicians and phone people, most phone people get it like this in recovery, and most clinicians are, how does that make you feel, shit? And if those two aren't lined up, your organization is not going to flourish. And that's the biggest thing. So when my phone's not ringing, I don't take Ryan's head off. I don't look at my phone people. I look at my interventionist, and I look at what they're saying on the phones. Is what we're saying lined up with what we're doing? And that's why we're the biggest, because if it's not lined up, we aren't working. And I feel it. And the second I sense it and I fix that, things go back to normal. Because it happens all the time. We're humans, right? I'm not perfect either. But if your messaging and your clinical is not lined up with your admissions, you guys are fucked. And that's why treatment centers fail. That's why it took me so long to talk to you. If you call me and you want to work with me and you're backed by private equity, fuck off. Fuck off. Because we're not selling widgets here. We can't run treatment centers like bureaucratic organizations. If you're not running a human resource model and clinical's not lined up with admissions, I got nothing to say to you. Because you're not helping people.
And that's the biggest piece. And
that's why we're the biggest.
Admissions, I love it, because we've been a part of other companies, and that's been what's been so refreshing here at Desert was we get to work with our clinical team. They listen, we listen, they value what we say. They can take, constructive criticism, quality improvement, and we can work together as a team to put it all together. And that has been the best part of Desert, because where we came from, the clinical team, clinical component, We were wrong about everything we did. They wanted to fight with us the whole entire time, and we never had any outcomes.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I work with you. So one of our phone people used to work for you guys, or worked with Blaine. And I like Blaine, but he worked for you know who.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't even call me. I like you. But we'll break bread, but we ain't talking business. And
We all know who that is.
yeah, the girl came in my office, Elena, and she said, hey, she's like, can we do an intervention for Desert Cove or a Desert Recovery? I said, Desert Cove? No. She goes, no, Desert Recovery. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck they are. I mean, that's go ahead. And one of my counselors came in about a month later, and she goes, hey, what's this deal with this Desert Recovery place? I said, I don't know why. What did they do?
What'd they do?
She's like, they're amazing. Like, they think just like us. Like, it's like, and that's why I called you. And no, I'm not paid to say this. That's the truth why I called you, because we had one client and your clinical lined up with us. And that's why it worked. And that's why we're here today. And that's why it gelled so quick, because we were lined up without even talking about it. And 99% of the time, I don't line up with treatment centers, man. Sure. I just don't. Like, and I let that naturalness, if that's a word, happen. And if that doesn't happen, we got nothing to talk about, man. Like, I'm trying to help people here. I ain't trying to, I know I got my finance degree. I'm a business guy, but I do this. I could make more money in finance.
And I know that. And so I was telling Ty and Dr. Wynn, I said, look, I've been talking to Mike, dude, and what I know about him today, first off, I know why he didn't. Well, now I know a little bit more why he didn't return our call for about a year. But you wanted to see the outcomes, you wanted to see the program, you wanted to see the clinical component, and that's what makes us us. Because anybody can get a nice house that has money. Anybody can do that and put sprinklers in it and get a license on it. But it's what takes place. What are the outcomes that you're having, and what does clinical look like? And so. Right now, I'm so happy with what we got going on with clinical. Over the last 2 days, shout out to Strivena, our marketing company, and Ryan and Matt and Joey and Abby and Lacey and the whole entire team, because they are phenomenal. What we've been able to do, though, is really, really start to work together and to really start to step up with what we had on the outcome component of it. And that's what we do. And what we've been able to roll out is called bridge work. And we had a plethora over the last 2 days with headshots, about 22 different clinical team members that we've added, from Dr. Snell to Dr. Ellis. There's so many different doctors that we've added, coupled with the postdoc students, the master's level therapists. We've rolled out bridge work, which is specific to Desert, which allows each client to have 4 individual clinical trauma sessions per week. The group therapy that's taught by doctors and professionals, that's also specific to us. That's great as well. But ultimately, it's what's done one-on-one, and we can truly be vulnerable, when we can truly get to the root cause, the trauma, the childhood, everything that shaped us to want to change the way we feel or suffer from mental health in a great capacity and experience those outcomes. So bridge work specific to us. And I know it took a while. We're getting ready to continue to grow and to continue to add components that have the best sort of outcomes. So I'm grateful that we got here today.
I just did the prison math in my head real quick. We have 9 licensed doctors on our team. Like, that's unheard of. And that's counting the medical, right? Medical and, doctors. But I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we used to, what I heard you saying when we were talking about aligning, right? At Desert, it's this, and we've all worked at other places. I see this clinical and medical guided. We are clinically and medically guided, and we're peer driven. And there's this perfect push-pull. They listen to us, we listen to them. We take their guidance, they listen to our real life truth. Hey, this is our truth. And they apply that, and it's just this, it's been, for the last 2 years, it's just been, Dr. Wynn is amazing to work with. She's so open-minded, and she's a great teacher, and she teaches all of us, right? And that's really what Desert is. We are clinically guided, peer-driven, and that perfect
That's correct.
pull.
And working with admissions is probably the most critical component, because if you're truly about outcomes, and that's truly what your mission is, well, we want to make sure that this client's a good fit for our program, that we're going to be able to have the outcomes. And if not, we need to get them someplace where they could have the outcomes, because that willingness is so short. And that's what I've grown to love about you, Mike. It's not about the money for you. You care about the outcomes. What is your program about? That's what you want to see.
That's
and
exactly
so
right.
It's been nice to be able to kind of show you from afar, and with a client that we did have, and we're able to pursue an intervention with you. We had a great outcome with him. But to now have this next time period of us working together, developing a partnership. I mean, we have almost 6 interventions that are in the pipeline right now where we're working with the families. We have that safe place, the sanctuary, the safe environment to bring that client in, to introduce them to so many different components of recovery and themselves again, and let that family heal, dude, because that's just so important. But one thing I want to ask you, when you look back over the last, let's just say 20 plus years, whatever that the prison math numbers are on that, right? There's a lot of years in this space. When you think about wins and you think about those clients and those families, and those ones, do you have any standout ones that you can share without breaking anonymity? That's just, you had a client, they suffered from this, there was a crazies just to get them there. I mean, we've literally flown out to other states to try to grab clients, had them get crack, run from the airport. We chased him down. The dude's got 6 months fucking sobriety.
Hey, it's always crack. It's always crack.
But what are those big wins? Do you have any you can share? I mean, there's probably so many of them, but I think it's just seeing that family be able to just breathe again,
The one that pops in my head instantly was I got a call in 2007. And it was for an 18-year-old meth addict. And she was up in Canada. And I can remember this like the day my children were born. And we went out there and we intervened. And she said no. She said no. She wasn't going. She was selling her body. And she said no. And I talked to that mom. I'm not going to get emotional, but I talked to that mom all the time. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in my desk, no longer at the company, and I had my Motorola flip phone. And I opened it up, and there's a picture. She's like, she's like, we finally did it. And there was a picture of her and her daughter at the airport. 5 years later, she was going to treatment.
Yeah.
And because she did everything I told her to do.
Yeah.
And she never doubted me.
Yes.
Yeah. And
those are the ones, dude.
Yeah. I'll never forget that. That was my biggest victory.
And that's ultimately what we're doing is we plant seeds. I tell everyone we really work in agriculture, and we plant seeds and we show that they can be grown in these amazing, beautiful plants and flower and all the things that come and produce but they might not be ready to grow at that time. Yeah. But they will always remember that kind heart, those words that you gave them, the reality check that you gave them, and they'll always remember those moments and then be able to share with you. And that's why we do. 5 years later, that seed was planted and it finally fucking grew, dude.
That's awesome.
And whether the outcome wasn't the outcome, but the facts were, is that hardest part of all is that first step, just getting them there, was able to finally happen, and more seeds were planted and more water was taking place on those seeds. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And I think about, a lot of the big wins that we have, and bringing up that one client that we talked about that we flew out to San Francisco a couple times to try to find him. He ran on us, but we kept going out there and talking to that mom who was just so sick. And for her not to call us 30 days later because she knows he's safe and he's doing well and he stayed out here and he's employed. Man, dude, it's just a beautiful thing to have those outcomes. And even if it was just that one outcome you had or the one that we can talk about, I think we'd all be happy with that, dude. But the facts are is just so many more outcomes just like that. So finding great interventionists and great people with the same vision and values and mission that we have, coupling it with the DRC way, I'm just excited to see what we can do. And I know working with you, we're going to have fun while doing it.
Oh, yeah, you got to have fun.
And one thing I know, if we send you an intervention, you're not going to smoke crack and then show up at Desert and be a roommate of the guy. Because you got sober interventionists at the highest level.
Yes.
Because what you care about is the outcomes. And we've been able to show you from afar some outcomes, and now we get to show you up close. And that's what I'm most excited about, and aligning with you and being able to help people together. So if somebody is listening to this podcast right now, it's a loved one. And there's one thing I want to state. Working with Ryan here and Matt and everybody has just been so refreshing and phenomenal to work with them. But pulling some of the data on what we've seen is the biggest search terms for anything recovery related is the family. The family's looking for solutions, looking for a way out of this incarceration that their loved one has put them in. And we've recorded blogs and how to talk to them and 10 tips that they're suffering and signs that you could look for. And that's been the content that's given us the greatest value is the families. We have a family program working on family counseling in the first 30 days. They're able to get sessions with their loved ones, because recovery, yes, it's an internal thing that we recover and we fix, and it's in here and it's in here. But then also the external things, the unmanageable aspects of our lives, the relationships, the finances, all those things come back, and we get to be good fathers again, dude, and we get to be good sons again. I literally go to my parents put up with everything, and they enabled me and bailed me out of every possible thing known to mankind. And today I get to go to their house and do yard work and just cry, because I'm just so happy that I get to finally contribute to their life. It's just an amazing aspect, and that's just one of the blessings that the progressiveness of recovery gave me. So if someone wants to find you, where can they find you? How do they get in touch with you? How do they get information on interventions? Where do they find Family First?
Online, www.family-. I've actually had people type in the word hyphen. Like, it didn't work. It's like, no, the dash, the minus sign, family-intervention.com.
Family-intervention.com. Matt's going to put it all up there, put a live link on there so you can click in there, get it all set up. And if anyone is suffering from mental health, substance abuse, you want to reach out to Family First, Desert Recovery Centers. We have a whole page on our website now. Go on desertrecoverycenters.com. There's an intervention page, talks about Family First, our relationship that we have with them, how you can get in contact with them, and we're actively hunting for families to help. So if you see the content, let us give you some information. I don't care about your financial situation, what insurance you have, if you have it, if you don't have it. None of that matters to us. Get in touch with us here at Desert or Family First, and we will not stop until we get you that help that you need. So, Ron, if they need to reach out to Desert, where can they find us?
DesertRecoveryCenters.com on our beautiful website.
Yeah.
And then we got Instagram, Desert Recovery Centers, Powerless to Powerful. You got Jason and Sarah on Facebook, Ron Alessi on Facebook as well. Ronnie, no matter what, on TikTok. Jason's on TikTok too. We're all over with the World Wide Web. So please reach out to us. Our amazing admission team, they're waiting to help you and talk to you and guide you along the way.
And I got to give a shout out to Adam Leonard.
Come on, let's
and
go,
Blaine
Adam.
and Jeremy. Our three admissions guys worked their ass off. But
Yes,
one of the
they
most
do.
beautiful parts, Mike, about embarking on this relationship with you guys is our Adams already knew each other.
Yeah.
He already had the phone number. He was able to pick the synergy right back up from previously some of the clients that they've helped together. So it's just been a beautiful thing and so much fun to have you on the show. So thank you for your time. I know Ryan's got a whole bunch of meetings and interviews. He's got you locked and loaded to do. He just dropped the ball on you 5 minutes before that. Fuck Ryan,
and a
dude.
little
Let him.
plug-
Yeah, he doesn't.
Fuck Ryan.
Yeah, fuck
Where is he? He's not even here.
Yeah, he left
And
already.
he puts bullshit ice cubes in my already cold coffee. I didn't fucking eat it. Now it's watered down. But so Adam, real quick plug, and my Adam would not mind me saying this.
Adam.
So in 2016 or 17, his sister-in-law called our office, and my wife took the call and booked his intervention.
Wow.
And now the guy works. He runs my company.
I love that.
And he went from death's door to we were at his wedding a month ago.
Yeah, dude.
And now he's running my organization.
Let's go.
And that's like when families like, do you got any past clients we would talk to? It's like, yeah, hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
You know what I mean?
One
He's
second.
like, he is just one of the greatest things that has happened to us. Ryan too,
Yeah.
but Adam. I mean, it's just like, the call that his family, it's still in the call tracking. Like he actually went back and listened to
Oh,
it
that's great.
about what they were
that
saying
is
about him, all
so
that shit. My
cool.
wife scheduled that. Yeah.
I love that. I am a
That
firm
is
believer. Shout out to JB. I got a past
And I met his whole
client.
family. The
Yeah.
ones that called us.
Yeah, I got a past client, JB, who now is a staff member, and he just gets to live the DRC way, gets to be visual proof. So I'm such a firm believer in that and just that heart and that know-how because they've been through it. They know exactly what the family's feeling. They know exactly what the client's feeling, and they're able to navigate that process utilizing your procedures, your heart, but ultimately their experience as well, dude.
My
So
interventionists went home after they didn't go and smoke crack after they dropped them off. Good day.
Yeah, that's a good day. It's a good day.
win.
So thanks for being on the show. New podcast dropping every other Wednesday. There'll be a new episode coming out. So please tune in. If you want to be a guest, shoot us a message. We'll get you on. We'll get you on the calendar. But most importantly, if you or a loved one is suffering from mental health, please reach out today. Please, that's all that matters. That's why we do this. It's to help people, man. So if you need help or you're a sick family member that's been sick from a loved one like me, please reach out so we can help and tune in. Episodes dropping every week. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks, guys.
you.
It's been great. Thank you.